Hello, and we are back with our second episode of 7-Figure Habits with me, Lauren Templeton, and today we are going to be talking about thinking like a CEO rather than a dance teacher. And the reason that I want to talk about this today is I think a lot of the time your passion as a dance school or performing arts school owner is costing you money. Let me explain. We all started with a love of dance, a love of performing, a love of music, drama, all of those things, which we all still have to this very day. But I think that so many performing arts and dance school owners are letting the passion run their school. And that is costing them money because they are letting passion lead their decisions. Now, as I always say, our dance schools, our performing arts schools are businesses. And if we don't make decisions like a CEO, our business is not going to thrive, grow in the way that we want it to be. So when I'm talking about passion costing you money, how many of you have not put up your fees for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years? How many of you in that time have been absorbing all of the costs that go with hiring a studio, a hall, having your own studio, having to pay for increased in electricity bills, in admin, in staff, staff minimum wages going up, what you're paying your team, and you haven't translated that to the class fees. It doesn't mean that you are not passionate and you don't want the school to be thriving with love of performing arts and love of dance. Of course not. That is exactly what I want for my school, and I'm sure you're the same. However, when it comes to making sure that the business is sustainable and the business can keep the doors open, you need to make sure that you're thinking like a CEO and making strategic business decisions to get you to a stage where your business is sustainable. Now, thinking back to when I had a moment where I found it hard to kind of put my CEO hat on, we had a teacher that was with us for a few years, so passionate, so dedicated, but the boundaries became very, very blurred. Now, I kept putting that off. I kept putting off having that conversation with them, really thinking, right, is this working? Is this not? Some people were leaving the classes because of that teacher, and because I had built that relationship, I found it really hard to have that conversation, and I put it off and put it off and put it off. And it wasn't until I started to actually look at the effect that it was having on the business that I then had to take action. So it affects us all, and I think we just need to make sure that every time we are making a decision for the business, it is from a place of clarity and confidence. Talking about teachers, how many of you have hired your friend because she's a great dancer and you trust her, but she might not be the right person for this new admin role that needs to be able to make decisions or do sales call, but just because she's your friend, you've taken her on. So I think the passion, the love, the loyalty can absolutely be there, but it can't be the sole thing that is making the decision, because the business will end up paying for that if that person is in the wrong role. If you're thinking like a CEO, you will know your numbers. And I speak to so many, not only of my own clients, well, not anymore because we're working on this, but so many of dance and performing arts school owners that book calls with me and they don't know their revenue or their profit. Guys, if you don't have the data and you don't know the figures, how can you possibly know how to move forward and what you want and what's possible? So that is something that as a CEO, if you're thinking like a CEO, you will know your numbers. And I think that dance and performing arts school owners, we can sometimes go, oh, I'm creative, I'm a dancer, I don't understand maths, I only know 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got AI now, guys. There is no excuse. Put your figures into that and it will give you a whole template, everything to use. Or if you want even more, come to me and I will give you all of the templates for that. My God, there we go. Try to sell the coaching. But anyway, really important for you to know your figures. Now, again, thinking like a CEO, you need to think of your business from a higher perspective. If you are constantly in the studio, in the classes, doing the day-to-days, how can you possibly have enough time in your week to really think big, step back, step up, as I like to say, and look at it from a different perspective? So that is something I really, really want to emphasize, that as a dance and performing arts school owner, you need to be thinking bigger and from a wider perspective. If you are constantly in the weeds, how are you supposed to know where you should move next? What decisions should you make next? So make sure that you are having time within your week where you are able to work on the business. And what I mean by working on the business is thinking about your next move, your next strategic decision. So this week, I want you to catch yourself if you are making a decision from either passion, love, or loyalty rather than what is best for the business. And again, I emphasize, this does not mean that we lose that love and loyalty to our customers and our passion for performing arts, not at all. But you need to be aware if you are making the decision just from this side, or you are thinking like a CEO. So if this landed, let me know in the comments. If you are a dance or performing arts school owner and you're ready to start thinking like a CEO and you would like my support, just send me a DM and I can send you the info.